it's hard to explain because I think it had such a big effect, and because it was such a big part of my daily life that I didn't really ever think about it, or I didn't think like, oh, I'm so lucky to be in this space where all of this creativity is readily available and the people who are creating are readily available for me to talk to. And I think the starting point was really getting into the communities of creativity, and it started with that recording studio. And that recording studio was responsible for recording Nirvana and the Foo Fighters and Soundgarden and Macklemore, and just like it blew my mind. I was so grateful to be there, and that's when I've that idea of, oh, your network is your net worth sort of thing really hit me. I was like, oh, if I can really get involved in these communities here, that will allow me to make better connections that will be fruitful in maybe the short term, maybe the long term, maybe never, but I'm going to have fun trying it along the way. And so it started out in the recording studio, but that led me to there were cafes that did, slam poetry on the weekends. There's a KEXP radio that does like lessons for musicians or songwriting or lots of other things. And so I would go to those. And festivals, they like fuel my fire. And every time I would get excited or flooded with just that rush of dopamine from music, from, the art in the middle of the street, or you go to like Gasworks in a park, which is, I mean, for anybody listening, maybe Google it. It's a beautiful park
Yeah.
and there's like all these structures around. Being around that, I think just helped that excitement bubble. And because of that, my creativity was able to continue to flourish. Like I had things that fueled the inside of me so that I could express it outwardly later.
It's very interesting. And so the inside of you is just like bursts forth in an outward expression, kind of like how you present yourself. I mean, you've got interesting piercings and tattoos and things like that. So it's like you just can't contain it. And who would
Yeah,
want to, right?
exactly.
Um, so when you're not in Seattle, you're you're passionate about travel, aren't you?
Hmm.
Same. Like, so how do you use travel? Does it refuel your creativity? Do you go out and look for things, or is it taking a break from?
A little bit of both, and for me, they're almost like one and the same. Like going and exploring is, in my mind, sort of taking a break from everything else. And so for traveling, I've actually only been outside of the country once, well, twice if you count Canada, but it was so close that I don't know. Feels like the US, just with different accents maybe. So I went to the Philippines and that was incredible. And that was more of like a break. We went with, pre-COVID, we went with a group. We got to do incredible experiences, but everything was taken care of for us. So I was just, you know, brain dead, didn't need to think about anything, was just along for the ride and had a great time. So that was
Was
more.
it like a Kentucky tour or something?
Yeah, it was called One Life. Awesome company, by the way, if anybody wants to look it up. But it was a group of, I believe, we had a large group, it was like 15, almost 20 people, and we did stuff like zip lining, and we swam with whale sharks, and we had just all the
Whoa,
things.
you are you're telling me you actually swam with whale sharks?
I did. It was probably the most incredible experience in nature I think I've ever had.
That's amazing because here in Atlanta we have the only whale sharks in captivity in the world, but seeing them out in the wild, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I've been on whale watching expeditions and we've never seen a whale. So you had to go and find them and then go swim with them.
Yeah, yeah. It was really, really awesome, and things like that, they just fuel me, and it allows for that really, it's like a connectedness and a solitude in some way in nature, I found that those 2 things for me personally really spark that creativity, and so when I apply those things to travel, maybe not in the US, or excuse me, not outside of the US, but even in the town that I live in, like going to a new place, it really sparks a lot of that